Good afternoon, everybody. We got a good cloud cover today because it is a really hot September day, but it's good for photographs. Good setting here, and a good place overall to celebrate a really important project that will support the North End and will make our city cleaner, and our harbor in particular cleaner. I'm pleased to announce today that New Bedford has completed the Coggeshall Street sewer separation project, which is a key component of the city's long-term plan to improve the water quality of New Bedford Harbor, Clark's Cove, and Buzzards Bay by modernizing the wastewater collection system and mitigating combined sewer overflows. And everybody, I think, who is physically present today knows what a CSO is, but we'll explain that in a second for everyone who's listening on TV. So the project eliminates one of the city's CSO outfalls, and so let me just explain what that means. The older systems, older sewerage systems, and ours is one of them in the country, had connected up both their sewage and wastewater stormwater systems, such that during large rain events, the wastewater system would go over capacity, would become overwhelmed, and both systems would overflow into one another and be discharged into local waterways. And when our system was first built, there were outfalls up and down the harbor. There still are many of them, and we've spent decades removing them, and it's a very costly endeavor. But the city, under particularly Ron LaBelle's leadership, has made tremendous progress over the years in complying with an EPA consent decree and other federal and state rules to eliminate outfalls, as well as to separate out the system. It's all very expensive, and it happens gradually over time. So this was one of the really major projects, because it will prevent an estimated 2.4 million gallons of wastewater annually from flowing directly into New Bedford's Upper Harbor, which, as you can see here, is a large body of water, but because it's so far upstream from the outer harbor, there isn't a great deal of water turnover, and so what gets discharged here tends to stay here more than it otherwise would. So the Upper Harbor has been an area of renewed interest, obviously, in recent years, with the renewed residential developments up the Acushnet River and the increased recognition of the potential for this entire stretch to become a major recreational asset. I'm here with Michelle Paul, who will speak in a second, who's been spending a tremendous amount of her time over the last few years going through about the very complicated work of planning with the Environmental Protection Agency, with various city and state agencies, the Riverwalk, which will be a tremendous asset in the years ahead for not just the North End, but the entire city. So today is certainly a milestone for our CFO efforts, but if we take a step back and consider all the momentum we've built up in the environmental area, it is quite remarkable. We have reached a number of important legal settlements that have enabled us to fund various hazardous waste cleanups throughout the city, and we have gained national and state recognition for our leadership in renewable and solar and offshore wind energy in particular. And we've seen several other infrastructure projects advance, which are helping make the city's natural resources more accessible to the public and reconnecting people to the harbor and the waters of Buzzards Bay for the first time in over a half century. And these projects include, of course, the completed Harbor Walk project in the South End, and the Cove Walk, which is under construction, and again here the River Walk, which has been partially started and is in the midst of considerable planning and construction in the years ahead. Over the last couple of decades, the City of New Bedford has invested some $250 million to improve its wastewater collection and treatment systems, restoring thousands of acres of shellfish beds, providing healthier aquatic ecosystems, and enabling more recreational opportunities. In all, Some 12,000 acres of shellfish beds have been opened, and city beaches have become increasingly popular destinations, as it should be. We should be a city known for having these great waterside recreational assets. In addition to reducing wastewater discharges into the harbor, the project will also reduce the potential for flooding within the city's main intercepting sewer area and improve pumping station performance by diverting drain water that previously discharged straight into the sewer system. Today's announcement marks the completion of phase 1 of the project, which included specifically the installation of 5,500 linear feet of new sewer and drain to replace inadequate and failing underground infrastructure between Jean Street and Mitchell Street. And Mitchell Street, I will note, is always a street sign that I wanted to take as a child for obvious reasons, but I don't think there's any, I don't know if it's named after anybody who's related to me. Construction of a new outfall from Mitchell Street to the harbor with a tide gate to provide additional capacity to help prevent street flooding and protect the city's drainage system. The repair of 3,400 linear feet of sewer pipe to reinforce the existing sewer system on Coggeshall, Mitchell, and Belleville Ave, and the installing of 2,600 linear feet of new water main. So that's an awful lot, but what we've really done is completely redone the underground system, along the Coggeshall Street corridor from here all the way over to Belleville Avenue, and it's a remarkable, all the way over to North Front Street. It's a remarkably complicated project, and it reminds us that so much of the work that the city does is not visible to the public. I mean, we have a complex and very expensive and high-performing water and wastewater system in this city, and it's required for its upkeep and its improvement. Tremendous and skillful work over the years by DPI, assisted by CDM Smith and so many others over the year. So let me tell you a little bit about the stuff that you can see, the road work that will take place to basically give Coggeshall Street a facelift, and that'll take place in the spring and likely will be completed in the spring. So there'll be tree plantings, there'll be new paving. It'll look really sharp, and it'll seal it all up and make the neighborhood look all the better. So the $11 million project has also helped support the city's ongoing job creation and economic development efforts, with nearly 40% of the work done by employees of Gioso and Sons were done by New Bedford residents. And that way I want to thank the Gioso family. Frank and Marco are both here along with their team. And I just want to thank you for Mr. Gioso for all the hard work on the project. It was very well done. In addition, the participation of minority workers on the project was also notable, with minority workers representing more than 12% of the total hours associated with the project. So things are on the move here. This is really an effort, as I said, to make the city cleaner, to really do the hard work it takes to enable the fun to happen on our water. New Bedford, in the long run, we want to be known as a place that is clean, that makes sure that no matter what neighborhood you live in, we want you to live in a pleasant and clean place. And that we want recreational activities to take place along our waterfront. We want to take full advantage of what's behind me. So that's there are lots of folks to thank, and there's some people I want to call up, but I do want to thank CDM Smith, Ian Mead, and Sean Seide here from CDM Smith, Tim Ives. Great job as always, guys, doing the hard engineering work, and obviously more to come. There's a lot of work ahead. We're gonna stick with it. We're a city that has a legacy of environmental complications that we're chipping away at steadily, and we're making it happen. So I want to thank all the hard work of everyone here. There are a couple more thanks to offer in a moment, but I want to call up Zeb Aruda, who has picked up, our commissioner of DPI, who has picked up exactly where Ron has left off and has kept all these things going and is ready to tackle more. Zeb.
Good afternoon, everyone. Truly an honor to be here, and it's actually gratifying, exciting time for us at Public Infrastructure, because a lot of what we do most people don't see. It's underground. It's water, it's wastewater, it's pipes, it's manholes, it's things that, I know, underground. You don't see that. It's some people say that's not the pretty stuff, but you know what? It's the long-lasting effects of it that comes with it. We've taken this ball up the past couple of months and run with it. Commissioner LaBelle, who's here this afternoon, started this project a few years ago, because it usually takes a few years to design and get it out on the street and get this ball rolling. And the purpose of the project was to build new separate sewer and storm drain systems. I mean, we had to alleviate street flooding problems, we reduced the overflows into the harbor, and we addressed a lot of our aging infrastructure. An aging water main was also replaced in this project to improve its reliability. The project directly improves the water quality in the harbor and the operation of the city's wastewater system, especially our Coggeshall Street pumping station just up the road here. And it provides new piping and reliable service for all our partners here along Coggeshall Street. The Department of Public Infrastructure is committed to the wastewater collection system and reducing the combined sewer overflows in the city of New Bedford. At the beginning of this project, the Coggeshall Street underground utility infrastructure was amazingly over 120 years old and well beyond its useful life. And it consisted of that combined and sewer storm drain system. That's 2.5 million gallons of CSOs that no longer flow that way. We replaced over 3,500 feet of drain pipe. We replaced nearly 2,000 feet of sewer pipe. We replaced 2,600 feet of water main. We replaced one lead service, and we cured in place nearly 3,400 feet of pipe. It was truly an amazing project, and everyone did a great job. A project this size can only get done when you have departments, agencies, and businesses working together. The City of New Bedford, Department of Public Infrastructure, CDM Smith, Geoser and Sons, Mass DEP, EPA, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Everyone played a part in this, and as a team, this project got done. In addition, this project continues the city's initiative of addressing utility needs to support all the economic development. I mean, this includes the redevelopment along Coggeshall Street, the entire corridor, right from the river all the way up to Purchase Street, the continued development of the Fairhaven Mill site where we sit right now, and the International Marketplace. And also, Jean Street. Our residents on Jean Street got an entire new rebuilt neighborhood. The streets have been rebuilt. They got new curb and they got new trees. They got a new road. The entire street there looks amazing on Jean Street. In all, this project has supported multiple city objectives. It ultimately contributes towards creating a clean and safe environment for the citizens of New Bedford. Now that the underground utilities have been upgraded, we're going to begin making the top part of it look nice. And that'll start next year. It'll be an exciting project where we're going to create pedestrian, bicycle, and a vehicle-friendly corridor that connects downtown to here, Fairhaven to this area, 195 to this area. It's going to be a main thoroughfare, a main gateway for the city of New Bedford. Finally, I'd like to specifically thank all the businesses and residents who've been ever so patient during this entire project, working with us and us working with them throughout this entire project. We thank you very much, and looking forward to working with everyone throughout the next year or two as we build the top portion of it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Zeb. All right, thank you, Zeb. Appreciate it. So, a couple of things I wanted to point out. So, first, you know, the city has to afford to do this, and we benefit from having available to us the state revolving fund, which is a program that enables communities to finance major projects like this at very low borrowing rates. We're also aided, of course, by our CFO, Ari Sky, who is here and has played an instrumental role in figuring out how for the city to manage its debt load, and he's done so very skillfully, including as it relates to wastewater projects like this. I also want to just thank Derek Santos for being here. Derek has been instrumental in the redevelopment of the entire area, and as these projects move forward, these infrastructure projects move forward, there will be opportunities for more development and job creation, and Derek is chomping at the bit to make that happen. So, with all that, let me bring in another very important partner to the city, and that's Mark Rasmussen, who is the executive director of the coalition for Buzzards Bay. We're doing these projects to put Mark out of business. That's the goal here, right? But Mark is a first-rate environmental steward, and has been just a terrific partner to work with on this and so many other projects, the solar projects that we've done, and many others. And we've worked together in a number of capacities over the years, and this is just another example of Mark's support for New Bedford's efforts to deal with its environmental legacy. Mark.
Thank you, Mayor Mitchell. So the organization I represent, Buzzards Bay Coalition, we're based here in New Bedford, but we're dedicated to the cleanup and restoration of all of Buzzards Bay. And so for us, we work from Secundit Point and Little Compton all the way around to Woods Hole. And I am always so proud to be in all of the small towns of the Buzzards Bay area talking about the improvements in New Bedford. It is night and day from where this organization, when it was founded nearly 30 years ago, what the dynamic was, with the remainder of the region thinking that New Bedford's mess was the source of all of Buzzards Bay's problems. That is entirely 180 degrees turned around today. So one example, and I brought some copies. Last month, we do every 4 years, we update a State of the Bay report. And this time in this report, the most interesting finding in the entire assessment, so we look at all of Buzzards Bay as a whole, and we found that although a lot of areas of the bay, rivers, harbors, and coves in rural and suburban towns continue to decline due to wastewater pollution from nitrogen, from septic systems and other sources of nitrogen pollution, we see that in Marion and Wareham and Bourne and Westport and Dartmouth. The report found that Buzzards Bay as a whole, though, did not decline over this period because of offsetting improvements in New Bedford. So think about that. The amount of shellfish bed reopening, water quality improvements in the greater New Bedford environment are offsetting losses in other parts of the bay. That is profound, like I said, from where New Bedford was. We still, in towns every week, when we're talking to selectmen, boards of health, planning boards, they want to know what we're doing to clean up New Bedford. And we turn around to them and say, we're actually here to talk about you. New Bedford's doing a great job on water quality problems. So I think that's really exciting. A lot of these gains can be attributed to what's happened in the harbor since the 1996 upgrade of the wastewater treatment plant, but you can't underestimate, undervalue the work, the CSO improvement work. Just to put a blunt point on it, this is a modern American city in the year 2016, and we are still talking about occasions where raw sewage end up in the harbor. CSOs are not just another environmental problem. This is a serious public health concern. This is a serious environmental problem. And so the city's continued commitment to this says a lot about the city, the administrations of mayors. Mayor Mitchell's been such a strong supporter. So this work is really critical. When you look at the harbor wide today, the biggest problem, the thing that you see every day when people call up City Hall or whatever and they say, geez, the harbor smells today, it's looking brown, there's algae on the shore, what's going on? That's the effects of nitrogen pollution from wastewater. And that nitrogen pollution is no longer coming from New Bedford. A recent study by UMass Dartmouth, the SMAST program down at UMass, found that 47% of the nitrogen that comes into New Bedford Harbor that's causing this degradation comes out of the Fairhaven wastewater treatment plant. 9% today comes out of New Bedford CSOs. Just every metric you look at for water quality improvements continues to show New Bedford as a leader. All that said, and both Zeb and the mayor mentioned, this is extremely expensive work. It is messy work. It takes time. The city's going to be at this for a very long time. Think about the improvements. We're talking about $11 million of spending to clean up 2.5 million gallons of flow here. So this is expensive work. Estimates are that we have 100 million more to do. And we still see CSO discharges dozens of times a year. So there's a lot of work ahead, and I think the lesson that we can all see when you think about how clean the city beaches are, when you think about this amazing reopening of shellfish beds, 15 years ago we had half the shellfish beds in New Bedford. I mean, amazing improvements. These are the public benefits of all of this investment. The taxpayers, the residents of New Bedford are paying for these improvements. They're also now seeing the benefits, and that's really exciting. Before I hand over the podium, I did want to take the moment here. Ron LaBelle's here today, and I wanted to take a moment to just recognize his strong leadership, his effective management. I think all of us here know Ron, but I have rarely seen a more effective public servant and somebody who cares so much about these issues in all of our work Bay-wide. You know, and mayors from Mayor Mitchell to John Bullitt have played a big role here, but Ron driving this every day has been absolutely critical. So back in 1992, Ron was recently here in the city. He had already started tackling the CSO issues down in Clark's Cove. And I remember Ron early on telling me that the way the city was going to do this was they were going to get the beaches open first, and we were going to work on the shellfish beds, and we were slowly going to move our way up harbor. So in those early years when Ron was still down on Clark's Cove, our organization, then very young, gave Ron one of our first Buzzards Bay Guardian Awards. A long time, so 1992, you show up in the historic records of the coalition as one of the earliest recipients of this award. From what I know from the files, that was, I think, probably a printed thing that we picked up at Staples, and we signed it, and we gave it to you. Wasn't much to it. A few years ago, we were really lucky to have New Bedford artist John Magnan updated our Guardian Awards, designed a carved bay scallop award carved from cutty-hunk driftwood to represent the promise of restoration for Buzzards Bay. So I thought, since I may not have this opportunity with Ron in retirement again, this might be a good moment to actually upgrade Ron's Guardian Award from 1992. With something that's a bit more serves the value of what he's brought to the Bay and the region. So, Ron, I want to give you this Guardian Award today.
I didn't think I was getting it.
Oh, no, you are. It's an old one. It's just redone.
That's very nice. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you, Buck.
Yep. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor. Congratulations to the city. I love that we'll use this as yet another example. We're talking about environmental improvements around the Bay. Congratulations to Zeb. Looking forward to standing at a lot more of these with Zeb in the future. So thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Yep. I don't think Ron knows what to make of that. Well deserved, of course. And thanks, Mark, for those great remarks. Really on point. Again, just in the theme of partnership, we also are lucky to have a strong working relationship with Mass DEP and in particular with Millie Garcia Serrano, who is the regional head of DEP. And Millie comes here for a number of events, but you see her at press conferences like this. But we also to the behind-the-scenes work that she does day in and day out to keep things moving and to grease the skids and to work collaboratively is what really yields the results that we are looking for. And so, Millie, thanks again for all of your work on it. I'll just ask you to come on up and say a few words.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone, and how are we feeling today? It's a great
Warm.
day. It's a
It's
wonderful
warm,
day.
Millie.
It's warm. It's good and warm. Well, on behalf of Mass DEP, Commissioner Suberg, and Steve McCurdy, the director of the State Revolving Fund program, we just want to thank you so much for allowing us to be a partner. What's happening here in New Bedford is so transformative. And you're so right. Sometimes the community does not really see what's going because sometimes it's underground, the work that's happening, but it takes a lot of collaboration, a lot of stress sort of induced meetings that somehow force us to come out with decisions that always maintain the public interest at first on the forefront. And to me, it's amazing how every month we get a call from Mayor Mitchell's office, Liz, Michelle, others, basically inviting Mass DEP to attend a meeting, a press event, a briefing. There's always something amazing going on in New Bedford. Last time we were here giving out a fleet of electric vehicles, and that was quite amazing. The school department greatly benefited. And of course, the environment benefits because we're taking out all those cars off the footprint and making sure that we can have a more sustainable environment. So here we are today. So happy to hear that the phase one of this project, so intense in terms of engineering and policy and accounting and just communication, just with our abutters and our communities, that it all came together for the benefit of the public. I am so pleased to hear that at the end of the day, the final cost was greatly reduced, almost by $1 million, because of the ingenuity and the engineering and the cost effectiveness that folks from CDN Smith, the city, all together, coming together to ensure that we are accountable for those public dollars. It truly is amazing what we're going to be seeing here. I think Michelle's going to talk a little bit about the transformation, which is so key. I was just in an event, I think it was last November, in the city of Fall River, and they had a very similar project. I think also CDM Smith, as a matter of fact. That particular project at the bottom of the President's Avenue envisioned the combination of a CSO project, just finalizing that, also combined with recreational, and also dedicating it to the veterans. So it's the Army Vets Park, and it had that recreational component, just so amazingly just put together, a project that really resonates with the community. And this is exactly what we're going to have here in this environmental justice community that obviously deserves a lot because of the unintended consequences of the past legacy in New Bedford, just like any other old city and town in New England. So what we're seeing here is honestly first of a kind, transformational, something that our future generation will really look behind and say, wow, somebody had the forefront and the thinking to make things better so that we can have a sustainable environment, a sustainable region, a region that will be world-class, which is world-class because it is attracting a lot of businesses under the leadership of Mayor Mitchell. We are so delighted. On behalf of Commissioner Suberg, thank you for letting us and allowing us to be a partner, whether it's natural restoration damages, monies being proactively dedicated to projects like the Riverwalk, the one that Michelle's going to talk about, whether it's the cleanup of the harbor, whether it's the cleanup of 21 East sites, mass contingency plan sites with unintended releases of oil hazardous materials, whether it's water, wastewater, asbestos cleanup. We have a wonderful relationship when it comes to ensuring that the environment is protected and the citizens are safeguarded. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations, and may you be successful in subsequent projects that are coming your way.
All right,
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Millie. All right, so we are standing here right by where the Riverwalk will start, and so much of this is turning lemons into lemonade to deal with an environmental legacy that, again, is expensive to deal with and has to be dealt with over time, but we are gaining traction on it, we're chipping away at it. But we also want to turn it into something that the city can be proud of, and that's where the Riverwalk comes in. This was one of the most contaminated waterways in the United States, and the city has been cut off from it for years, and now through the EPA cleanup, which was spurred on by the AVX settlement 3 years ago, it's being cleaned up, and we're turning it into something really good, and it's taken a ton of work. And the results are not visible yet, but they will be soon, and Michelle will talk a little bit about how it's starting to unfold. Michelle.
Thank you very much. Hopefully there's less wind down here. As Zeb had mentioned, over 120 years ago, the city had developed the stormwater and sewer collection system in a way that was standard practice at the time and provided for our booming economy at the turn of the century. But we know too well now that generations of these outdated practices have led to the degradation of our most valuable and iconic resources. The city's focus on CSO reduction underscores our continued commitment to improve the health and welfare of our community while increasing our resilience in the face of an ever-changing environment and economic climate. The Coggeshall area CSO project is an integral piece of the ongoing Upper Harbor cleanup, but there is much more to the story. This is also the first intertidal area to be cleaned up and restored by EPA. As we invite you to take a look at the area as a preview of things to come. As EPA moves northward, the city will follow to create a Riverwalk along the western shore of the Acushnet River. Riverwalk will provide the opportunity for residents to walk, run, and witness the habitat restoration along a 2-mile pathway. Riverwalk will further New Bedford's resilience by presenting an opportunity to combine a recreational asset, habitat restoration, and a buffer between the natural and the built environments. So as you look around here today, be assured that this is just the prologue to our success story. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Great work as always. All right, the sun has come out, so time to take questions before we all get sunburned. Anybody? Taylor? Mike, go ahead.
Mark, you mentioned estimates are we still have 100 million more gallons. Is that all in the city?
The city CSO system, I can actually refer for actual numbers to CDM. I'm using an estimate of yours from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number. I can speak.
We can get you those numbers. It wasn't 100 million gallons, $100 million in terms of the total amount of work.
That's what I was wondering. All right.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right, anybody else? Taylor, you good? All right, that's a wrap, everybody. Nice job. This was a great team effort. We really thank you for all your hard work.
Why are you guys drinking that stuff? Don't you know it has tons of sugar? You could become overweight and out of shape.
But it's so good, and it's only $1 at the corner store.
I got this for $1. I like water. It keeps me fresh. Plus, you can refill a reusable bottle anywhere.
And you sold me.